you in here have ever owned a lemonade stand? Okay, for those of you who have, I want you to think about your success as a young entrepreneur. And you probably sold about 9 or 10 drinks. You may have sold your lemonade for a couple days, and then it kind of fizzled out because you realized that profits weren't as good as you maybe anticipated. Well, this story is actually very similar to how the Coca-Cola company started. They did not have very much success, and they only sold about 9 servings per day when they first began. However, now we know that's not the case, and they sell 1.9 billion servings every single day globally. Coca-Cola's beginnings, their political involvement, and also their productivity throughout the world has really made an impact on society today. In a moment, I'm going to share how those 3 things, the history, political involvement, and productivity, have actually changed the world that we do live in today. So I want to go back to 1866, which is the year after the Civil War. A man by the name of John Pemberton is the inventor of the Coca-Cola drink that we know today. But it started in a very interesting way. John Pemberton was a war veteran, and he was heavily injured in the Civil War, and he ended up becoming addicted to morphine. And he was a pharmacist, so what he decided to do was to make a new painkiller that was not as severe or as harsh, I guess, on the body as morphine was because of its ill effects on his life. Anyways, John ended up making a little mixture of the cola nut and the coca leaf, 2 medicinal foods or herbs that can relieve pain, and he mixed those 2 things with syrup and carbonated water. Now, the effect of this mixture really wasn't as good of taking away pain as he anticipated, but it did taste really good. So the Coca-Cola beverage ended up selling in a pharmacy in Atlanta, Georgia, and like I said earlier, they sold about 9 servings every single day. And this was just not cutting it, and unfortunately, 2 years later, John Pemberton did become very ill, and the Coca-Cola company was bankrupt. So he ended up selling the company for only $2,000 to a man by the name of Asa Chandler, who ended up taking it up and kind of turning the Coca-Cola company into the company that we know of it today. Anyways, ironically, I want to touch back on John Pemberton. He was actually a Confederate in the Civil War, and I don't think he would have been so supportive of the Coca-Cola's company, their company's decisions in the later 1900s, which was to really be involved as a political movement. In 1964, Martin Luther King Jr. won the Nobel Peace Prize, and there was a celebratory dinner in Atlanta, and there was no response to go because it was an interracial dinner, and Atlanta, Georgia was still segregated at the time. However, Atlanta, Georgia was also the place of, or no, it's the headquarters of the Coca-Cola company at the time. And the mayor made an announcement to the city when no one was in support of this dinner, and the CEO and chairman of the Coca-Cola company said this: "It is embarrassing for the Coca-Cola company to be located in a city that refuses to honor its Nobel Prize winner. We are an international business. The Coca-Cola company does not need Atlanta. You all need to decide whether Atlanta needs the Coca-Cola company." And that's from J. Paul Austin, the CEO of the Coca-Cola company in 1964. After this quote was read aloud by the mayor of Atlanta, all the tickets were sold within 2 hours after this statement, which just proves really how big the Coca-Cola company was and just their impact on political unrest. And then we move into advertising, and that's another huge part of Coca-Cola's history, and it still is a huge part of who Coca-Cola is today. The way that they influenced the political unrest during the 1900s through advertising was their campaign called It's the Real Thing. And one of their commercials is called I'd Like to Buy the World a Coke. I'm going to play a little bit of it. So in the video, I want you guys to notice all the different races and different cultures that they try to include to show that Coca-Cola does support diversity. So notice that they even have different countries, brands of Coca-Cola on the bottles, different colors and different races, and anyways, you get the point. It was just, most people had not seen commercials like this at the time because of just the controversy over segregation and things like that. But Coca-Cola did not care. They really wanted to make a name for themselves in America, and they did. And that was just the beginning. And like I said, they tried to introduce the multicultural aspect of just the beverage industry and just being in unison. And so I think that also spread globally, which is also a reason why they have such a huge success in the entire world today. So their global success really can be marked by a couple awesome titles and accomplishments. The most recent list of Forbes' most valuable brands of the world came out, and Coca-Cola made number 4, right below Google, Microsoft, and Apple, which is pretty amazing for a beverage company to be there. And then also, Coca-Cola is sold in over 200 countries. The countries that it's not sold in are Cuba, Sudan, Iran, Burma, and North Korea. So it's very, very few in the world that don't actually sell Coca-Cola. And I think also, just the whole campaign of being in unison and just promoting that diversity really did help to spread the Coca-Cola company nationwide. And also we know that Coke is not just about sodas and even just the Coca-Cola beverage. They own over 500 other brands. And 20 of those brands are multi-billion-dollar companies or brands. And so it's just such a big company that it's the number 1 beverage industry in the entire world. And it's truly amazing how they've completely taken over almost every single drink that we drink from a vending machine. It's pretty exponential, their success. And it is amazing how they began as such a small company with humble beginnings. And I would like to say that throughout history, their political involvement and their global success, they really have changed the world. And so if you can learn anything from the Coca-Cola company, I hope it's this. The next time you have an unsuccessful lemonade stand, just keep going and keep promoting your company, because you might actually end up being able to sell 1.9 billion servings per day.
That's it?